Good evening, Sioux Falls. It's good to have you here tonight. This is the regular meeting of Monday, October 4th of the Sioux Falls City Council. If we could start with the roll call tonight, please.
Council members Jamison.
Here.
Litz.
Here.
Rolfing.
Here.
Aguilar. Here. Anderson.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Entenmann.
Here.
Erpenbach. Here.
All the city council members of the City of Sioux Falls are present. Thank you for being here tonight. I'd like to start off with an invocation. We are blessed to have Pastor Kevin Schneider of the Good News Reformed Church here. He'll give a blessing to the City Council and to our great city. And then after that, we'll give the Pledge of Allegiance, so if you just remain standing. Please, Pastor Kevin.
May we pray. Father, you have brought us together tonight to work on the business of this city. You have called us to lead in a way that brings about the best for our people. Encourage us, Lord, for you know that there are times when this job of leading is thankless, because others would say they could do a better job without having stood in the trenches of the decision-making process. Your word reminds us that in view of God's mercy, we are to offer our bodies as living sacrifices, holy and pleasing to you, for this is our spiritual act of worship. Then you challenge us to no longer conform to the pattern of this world, but to be transformed by the renewing of our minds. Tonight I pray, Father, that you would instill within this council the desire to be transformed by your power in the renewing of our minds, and that you would fill their decisions with the character traits of integrity, honor, and grace. And may you please allow them to lead Sioux Falls on a path toward all you desire for us, and may we not waver in our desire to do what is right. God, if we move to the left or to the right of your goals, bring us back and give us the ability to stand for what represents your heart. And Lord, may our leadership never forget those for whom they lead, whether powerful or powerless, rich or poor, majority or minority of this great city we love so much. We ask this in the name of the one who was and is to come. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thanks again for being here. Really appreciate it. We do have two proclamations tonight, and I'd like Amy Carter to come forward, please. Thanks, Amy. Great to have you here. Thank you. Amy, thanks again. Whereas 4 million women are victims of severe assault by their intimate partners annually in the United States, and nearly 1 in 4 women are likely to be abused by a partner in her lifetime. Whereas in 2009, 1,553 domestic assault arrests and protection order violation arrests were investigated by the Sioux Falls Police Department and the Minnehaha County Sheriff's Office. Whereas in the year 2009, 1,112 women and children were sheltered from abuse at the Children's Inn, and 3,011 crisis calls were answered at Children's Inn domestic abuse shelter. The Compass Center provided 2,213 intervention services to 242 victims of domestic violence and counseled 264 perpetrators of domestic violence on how to stop abusive behavior. Whereas, in the year 2009, the court system in Minnehaha County received 1,325 petitions for stalking and domestic violence protection orders. Whereas, a dedicated group of citizens have been fighting domestic violence together through the Minnehaha County Family Violence Council for 28 years. Whereas, wearing a purple ribbon during the month of October and attending the Take Back the Night rally on October 21, 2010, at the University of Sioux Falls at the Salisbury Science Center at 6 p.m. will represent support for the victims of domestic violence. Whereas, the voices of victims offer us important insight into the personal pain and loss that victims endure, and are voices that deserve our attention, respect, and indeed support. Now, therefore, I, Mike Huther, Mayor of the City of Sioux Falls, do hereby proclaim October 2010 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Thank you. Travis and Edith Arneson, please. Whereas, the Sioux Falls JCs have been a vital part of the development of young leaders for our community for over 70 years. Whereas, as the Sioux Falls JCs have contributed to the betterment of this community through its involvement in such programs as the annual 4th of July celebration, holiday gifts for kids, Toys for Tots Liaison, Sandboxville Haunted House, youth sporting competitions, and many, many others. Whereas, the United States Junior Chamber of Commerce and its affiliated state and local organizations have set aside the week of October 10th through the 16th, 2010, to observe the founding of the organization in 1920. Now, therefore, I, Mike Huther, Mayor of the City of Sioux Falls, do hereby proclaim the week of October 10 through October 16th as JC Mission Week in Sioux Falls, and urge all citizens of our community to give full regard to the past and continuing service to the Sioux Falls JCs. Congratulations. If I can get an approval for the consent agenda, a motion to approve, please.
So move, Anderson.
Second, Litz.
It's been a motion by Councilor Anderson Jr., seconded by Councilor Litz, to approve tonight's consent agenda. All those in favor say aye, or we'll do the roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Jamison?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Entenmann?
Yes.
Erpenbach? Yes.
Thank you. That is passed 8-0. A motion to approve tonight's regular agenda, please.
So moved, Litz.
Second, Anderson.
It's been a motion by Councilor Litz, seconded by Councilor Anderson Jr. to approve tonight's regular agenda. Any comments?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilor Litz.
I would like to make a motion to add a resolution to the regular agenda as item 26, and I would like to request that our city clerk's office read the same motion.
The resolution is a resolution canceling all special assessments, judgments, liens, and any other such instruments. Do you wish the body to be read?
I think that's probably sufficient.
Can I get a second, please?
I'll second that, Anderson.
There has been a motion by Councilor Litz, seconded by Councilor Anderson Jr. To add the following that was just previously read. Any further discussion or comments on that? Good. Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmembers Jamison?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Entenmann?
Yes.
Erpenbach? Yes.
That is passed 8-0.
And we need the main motion as amended.
If we can have if there's no further discussion, we'll have a motion on the amended motion.
We just need a vote, just a vote.
There's a vote? Okay. If we have a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Jamison?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Entenmann?
Yes.
Erpenbach? Yes.
Thank you, City Council. That has passed 8-0. And yes, this mayor is still learning. Thank you. This is a great opportune time to have anybody here who's in the audience tonight actually speak to your city council, speak to your government. If there's an item that is not on the agenda please come forward. We'd ask you to speak 5 minutes or less, and all we'd like is just to have you give us your name. If there is an item on the agenda later on that you'd like to speak to, don't worry. You'll have an opportune time to do that. But if there's another item that you'd like to speak to, please come forward now. Welcome. If you just state your name, please.
My name is Luann Fifley,
Thanks, Luann.
and I would like to address the council on a city ordinance that it's under Section 29-2, and it's under the vendors and merchants, and it's under the exceptions. And so it addresses having bona fide rummage and yard sales, and it states that you can have them 4 times a year at the same address for 4 days in a row. And so a person came and visited me from the city this morning because I had a rummage sale for 4 days, but everything was covered up, and then when he was there, but I was just curious. I called the city attorney's office also this morning to find out if I can get a vendor's license to have a rummage sale for 5 days. And they said no. And so I guess I wanted to find out about maybe changing that, or since there's 5 people at the rummage sale, does that mean that, we can go 20 days, or it's still 4? It may be a minor thing, but I can't
No, Ms.
understand why they would
Pfeiffer,
send
it's not a minor
that.
thing. That's great. Here's what I'd urge you to do.
Okay.
Is we'll have someone come up to you tonight. We'll get your contact information, okay? And then we'll work with you to not only address your own personal situation, but then maybe identify whether it's something that we should come to the city council with to modify or adjust accordingly, if that'd be appropriate with you.
Sure. It's just that this is a nice week. It's the only week in the whole year that we've had, and I've never had a rummage sale this year. So that would be great. Thank you very much.
Mr. Cooper, would you have someone get with Ms. Fifley? Thank you. Anybody else who'd like to speak to the city council, please come on. Welcome. Don't be nervous.
Oh, I am. Sorry. My name's Becky Bruns.
Hi, Becky.
And there's been a concern I've had for a long time, since I moved here, about 7.5 years ago, that I've never heard brought up before. So I just wanted to let people know. Right before I moved here, I was at University of Indianapolis and taking a social problems class. And one of the main issues was the slaughterhouses in the middle of a city affecting the air, like air pollution, soil pollution, water pollution or whatever. And I don't remember how far away a place like that is supposed to be from people's houses, but it was miles, not blocks, like our big, huge, stinky John Morrell's is. And I've never heard anyone talk about it before, so I was thinking, while we were listening to the city council meetings online, they were talking about downtown as an event center. A lot of people like that idea, and I was like, maybe we could kill 2 birds with 1 stone, have the big area, clean up the place, and have a, and I know that a lot of people are concerned because of the jobs, and I would be too, because I have a friend that works there, and I just thought like a bus stop that could go there would 5 miles out of the city or something would be awesome for everyone. So yeah, that's just an idea I wanted to present, and concern I've had. So every time I smell it, I'm like, this is wrong. so yeah.
Well, Becky, thank you for your comments. We appreciate it. Actually, in that same vein, we can explain the zoning here in our city of Sioux Falls in terms of why John Morrell's is at where it's at, some of the history, as well as why it is a legal entity. I think that would help maybe you understand. And that's, again, Mike Cooper and his team will help explain that. Jeff Schmidt is out there. He's a good man who can help understand that as well. But we do thank you for your comments, and you did a great job.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else who'd like to speak, whether you're nervous or not, come forward. We welcome it. Welcome. Welcome, Brendan. Good to have you here.
As you may know, my name is Brendan Riley. I live on the southeast side of town. I did see your presentation today, Mayor. It was very well done.
Thank you.
And in there you mentioned you met with a young man this week. I don't know who you're talking about, but
This is the young man.
sounds like a pretty good guy.
This is it. This is the man.
I don't know how young I am, but, you know, and you mentioned in your presentation when talking about it is, you know, I'm here to represent myself, but also I'm part of a group called Build It Downtown. And we've met with the mayor about the possibility of including a downtown location in his analysis for an event center, in our analysis for an event center. I did take some notes. I hate talking from notes, but I did take some notes. Part of that presentation, and I don't want to quote you out of context, but I did say, you said the real power is in economic development. And, you know, you mentioned it about me, and I'll mention it about you. In your plan, we probably do agree on 95%, maybe 99% of what your plan is. That little thing we don't is location. What we see is a focus as part of the location is economic development. You mentioned it yourself. We're going to focus on that because we trust that the financing, all the other aspects of it will fall into place with the leadership. We looked at the slides. We saw your slides. As far as economic development goes, downtown has Uptown Sioux Falls, a 25-year vision that probably would become a 5 to 10-year plan in reality with the downtown event center. CNA, you know, the councilors mentioned CNA, private development downtown. Phillips to the Falls, the River Greenway, we can go on. What I noticed in your slides, and I don't want to pick it apart, but the economic development portion seemed a little lacking. It was talking about skywalks and parking lots. I don't know if that's the economic development the city wants, and I think that's what the arena site brings. Another part is cost, and you know it's said that we don't want to build a la carte because it's going to be more expensive. Well, I would suggest we're already building a la carte. You know, we built an arena 50 years ago. Not really much economic development. So 15 years ago, we built a convention center, thinking, okay, there's another piece of the puzzle. I still don't see the economic development. So now we're going to put an event center, and that's going to be a part of the puzzle that somehow spearheads this economic development. I certainly hope you're right, but I think we have an easier solution for economic development, and that's downtown. I mean, it's already primed for economic development. You also had some quotes from, and there was a lot of discussion about the last task force. Well, there was the first task force, the 2005 task force, and their study, their task, as Councilman Entenmann surely knows, is let's evaluate the best location for an event center. And the task force unanimously chose downtown. And because we had a quote from the most recent task force, I'll quote from that task force report. A perception of build it and they will come persists in pockets of public opinion, and that this previously occurred in Sioux Falls in the development of the existing arena and convention center, which has resulted in minimal new investment by the private sector in this area. We met, we talked about this. Our group wants to help. We're not fractioned in this one bit. Like I said, we're 99% in agreement. The one thing we disagree on is location. I really hope that we do have some ongoing dialogue in this process, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I personally sense some frustration on your behalf, and you should be. Why is everybody pounding on you? You're making this happen, and we're happy for that. I applaud you for making it happen. All we're asking is, let's give downtown a good hard look. We've said it before. We can't watchdog this process. I personally can't. You know, I have a job, I have a family. I can't watchdog it. You counselors, you know, you're here every day. You can watchdog the process. I hope downtown truly is considered. And to bring it all together, I think, you know, building at the arena, it does sound convenient. I agree. It sounds great. It could come together quickly. But I'd rather not build on the past. I'd rather build for the future. Thank you for the time.
Mr. Riley, again, tremendous job. I really respect all the work that you're doing, your stewardship, and all the members of your team, and we will continue the dialogue. And in all honesty, I'm not being pounded on very much at all, and even if I was, it's part of the job. It is. The people of Sioux Falls have been incredibly gracious, and Brennan, even though you challenged me, I don't consider that pounding at all. It's good debate, and it's necessary for good government. So keep it going. We will continue to work together. Anybody else who'd like to come forward, please do so, and don't be cautious at all. Welcome, sir. Welcome.
My name's Tim Stanga.
Welcome, Tim.
I'm going to change my approach for coming up here. I go to 3 neighbors in my neighborhood. I'm going to start doing that every week. I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to try to figure out what the people in my neighborhood need from Sioux Falls. I did that. One thing they want me to tell the city council and the mayor, and to remind them that you are elected officials from the people. So they want you to be here for everybody, not just the rich. They want you to be there for everybody. 2, they want jobs. They're hoping that the mayor's office will put forth the effort for bringing good jobs into Sioux Falls, not just part-time or minimum wage jobs. They want real jobs. They want to see you put just as much effort towards jobs as you are the entertainment center. Because that's what Sioux Falls is going to run around, is jobs, good jobs. And when it comes down to looking at the entertainment center downtown, a lot of people want the mayor's office to step up and make the pavilion stand on its own. We're tired of crippled. It's crippled. We have to put money into it from the city, or the taxpayers have to put money towards it every year. And they come down and say downtown is the best place to put the entertainment center. Maybe they should work on the pavilion first. Some people say they want the entertainment center. Some people say they don't. I don't know what's right and what's wrong, but I'm just hoping that between the city council and the mayor's office we get something straight, because there's people suffering out there, and I just want to let you know that I'm going to be there for my neighborhood, and I will go and I will talk to 3 more people next week, and I'll do the same thing as I did today.
Thank you, Mr. Sting. You do a good job, as always, and we truly appreciate the comments. Folks, yes, sir, come on up, please. Welcome, and just state your name.
My name is Grant Tauman. I live
Hi, Grant.
in McKinnon Park, and Mayor, Council, I appreciate the opportunity to discuss the issue at hand, which is the event center. And I'm a very passionate person about downtown. I think we got to look at the past in order to sometimes reflect on where we're going with our community. Some of the elder people in the community thought I had to build the event center, and that's 40 years ago. Now we can argue about where it was built, when it was built, how it was built, why it was built, but I'm just happy that the mayor is taking a strong stance in direction and saying we need to build this because it does help our economic development. I've been downtown for about 13 years. I grew up on the west side of Sioux Falls, and I brought my small little insurance business downtown, and we started buying a little bitty property here, a little property there, and did it all through sweat equity. I don't come from a large amount of wealth or anything, but my brothers and my family and I started to invest in something that we saw as the namesake of Sioux Falls. And the economic development from some of the statistics that I can throw out, the late 80s, Carol Pagonis had a vision for downtown Sioux Falls as an organization to begin. And there was about $80 to $90 million worth of real estate. That was the total value of real estate in downtown Sioux Falls. And today we're pushing $250 to $260 million of what it's gone up to. All the small businesses that are downtown are mostly all locally owned. all the small retail shops, all the small insurance agencies, and any of the other little businesses, and most of the properties are all owned downtown. And the infrastructure is already there. The return on investment for the community is immense. I know that they were building models when they did the Quest Center that they had a 37 or 38% increase in sales tax revenue in their downtown in Omaha. Those are numbers that we can directly reflect that we know it's going to have a major impact, which is going to help pay for this event center. I don't think floor space is what's going to pay for it. I think it's going to be sales tax revenue. And when the event center business, when the convention center business dried up like it did across the country, it was the increased sales tax revenue that kept the Quest Center going. And I can't think of any community of either medium-sized or especially large-sized community that has built it anywhere else but their downtown for the obvious reasons, which is economic development. I remember the loop, getting the loop closed and changing the mindset of the individual takes leadership, and it took a group of council people to say, you know what, these kids have been doing this for 20 or 30 years, they've been driving around this loop. I did it when I was a kid, and most of the people did, but it took true vision to say, we need to stop this. We need to change something and change the focus to revitalize our namesake. Falls Park is named after the city, and I can't think of a better reason or a better place to put a large economic impact piece, which is it's part of the stool. It's part of what drives our downtown. It's what different businesses, when they recruit businesses to come to our community, it's what they want to see. They want to see Phillips Avenue, they want to see Main, they want to see Falls Park, they want to see a vibrant downtown. We have a lot to show off down here, and I would just like the opportunity for the mayor and the council to really take a serious look and not compounding the mistakes of the past and look to the future, because I still think the best days are ahead for downtown, and I think the event center is just one of those major catalysts that come along every 15 or 20 years, and to really take a shot and take a really serious look and not close the dialogue off, to just keep an open mind, like the first task force did, because I believe it was split 50-50. 50% were in favor and 50% were against it, if I'm not mistaken, Jim, I think.
In the beginning.
In the beginning. And by the end of it, there was complete unanimity. I'm going to try to get the words out here. They were unanimous in the consent of where it should go. And I think that first committee got it right. I really do. I think the second committee looked at other ways to fund it and not really where it belongs. But I appreciate the opportunity for all of you, and thanks for...
Great, you did a great job. Thanks for your passion. And I, too, along with the City Council, I don't want to speak for them, I believe our best days are ahead for downtown Sioux Falls. Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Dave Syverson. I'm a resident of Sioux Falls. I live on the northeast side of town. Kenny, you're my guy. But I'm also in business here in town, and my business interests aren't downtown. I have a business that's on the south side of town. It's actually closer to the interstate. But I'm not here lobbying for an interstate location. I've looked at this issue for a long time, and I've followed it for a long time. And I think downtown offers the best payback on this investment that we're getting ready to make. And moreover, I think most everyone in this room, if they looked at the same type of information I've looked at, would come to that same conclusion. And I agree with what Mr. Stango was talking about. This town is looking for jobs. We're not as bad as some other areas of the country, thank God. But, things are a little slow, and they could be better. Being in the construction industry, obviously, from that perspective, I'm interested in a project that will create the biggest payback economically. If you're going to throw a stone in the pond, you throw it in the middle where it creates the biggest ripple. And I think we've even seen over the last few years several $100 million worth of development that's been proposed right in that same area. Some of it's going to go, some of it's going right now. Some of it's on hold and may never go. But I think that it's pretty obvious that if we have the courage to make the investment in a downtown event center, I think you will see the payback. I think you will see the expansion of our economy much greater than at the arena site, which will lead to not only the direct payback but indirect payback of all the things that are associated with building it. And I know you guys are in a tough spot right now. This is, it's a crossroads for the city. And I know there's probably some questions going through your minds of, how could we do that? How could we get that done at this point? Well, I'm here to tell you that you have people that will line up to help you, that will carry the water for you, that will knock on doors for you, that will lobby for this effort. And that won't cost anybody in this room a dime. But I can also tell you that there's other cities, like Grant mentioned, that have weighed in on this decision. They looked at it. They looked at all the pros and cons. And I can name 3 of them that I would invite you to research how they came to their conclusion. Evansville, Indiana, Wichita, Kansas, Lincoln, Nebraska. A couple of those cities are a little bit bigger than us, but they're also proposing event centers that are 2 or 3 times as big as well. They all had location controversies. They had fights. They had a couple of them had to vote a couple of times. But eventually, in each case, the citizens stepped up and said, you know what? Our best payback is downtown, and that's where all 3 of those event centers are going right now. So please, keep the door open to us.
Thanks, Dave. Thank you. Welcome. Sir, come forward, please. If you could just state your name, please.
David Billion, Sioux Falls.
Thanks, David.
First off, thank you, Mayor, for taking the initiative to really look at an event center, push hard on accomplishing that as one of your goals. I'm a big proponent for downtown. I have some interest downtown. I'll be straight with you about that. But more importantly, I have interest for the community and the community as a whole. Our Sioux Falls community is fantastic. I think that we've all seen a lot of growth in the last few years, and I'd hate to see that growth be minimized by maybe a decision as to where an event center would go. I truly believe through a lot of my travels and seeing a lot of events, and I've been very fortunate to be able to travel to a lot of different communities and see events, the ones that you spend more money at are the ones that are downtown. And I've been to like a Kansas City, for instance, where you go to a ball game, you pull off the interstate, you go to the game, you wait for traffic, you've got 2 ways in, 2 ways out, you get in and out, and all of a sudden you're in the car driving. Do you go back to Sioux Falls or do you stay? A lot of times it's you driving right back to Sioux Falls. So when it comes down to money spent from an event, not just the event, if it's a rock concert, if it's a ball game, whatever it might be, if it's in an area where there is no restaurant, there's no commerce, there's no community to it, that's a little bit of a concern for me. The other concern is that when multiple events happen out at the arena site, and when you're trying to find timing for maybe a rock star that wants to come play in Sioux Falls or perform and create revenue for the city, if all of a sudden that date isn't available because there's a game going on or a high school athletic event or something like that, all of a sudden the parking becomes a little bit of an issue. And it's something that, you may lose out on some potential revenues from those people. I've asked a ton of people, and I shouldn't say a ton, but I've asked well over 100 people, what do you think? What do you think of this event center? Where should it go? What do you think? I get 2 answers. I just want one. I'm tired of talking about it. I just want one. I don't care where it is. Or I get the downtown. When I hear the downtown, I get a lot of people that are very passionate about it. And some of the people that have been on the task force even have told me, I just want one. We've gone through the toil and everything is there. But I started asking some of the business people that have things downtown and that really want to see things happen downtown. And I asked them, I said, would you be willing to fund this thing? Would you be willing to take care of this? I think it was $24 million that you anticipate to be public money. And not just public from one person necessarily, but the community. Let everyone join in. I don't care if it's a nickel or if it's $5 million. Let the community participate in that. And the people that I've talked to about raising money in the private sector, they all believe that downtown is the place. They're all willing to take their checkbook out, but if you go ahead and allow the $500,000 to be spent out at the arena site, they're not going to have an option because they may not consider that as what they want and what they see is good for the community, what they see for our children, our grandchildren, and what have you. So when it comes down to raising money and involving the community, I think that's very important because then they buy in, they're excited. And I've had people from high school people to elderly retired people all say, I'd jump on that downtown. I want to have lunch with the mayor. I want to go talk to him about this deal. And I've had people tell me that, and they mean it. And so now I'm asking, and I just got involved with my first Build It Downtown meeting on Friday. And all of a sudden we started talking about it, and I said, all right, if I put some money in, who else is interested in this deal? And all of a sudden a bunch of names start surfacing. Coincidentally enough, I run into about 5 or 6 of those people, and they all commit. They're like, hey, this is right. This is where we want it. If I'm going to commit to something, I want it in the right place. Not just for me, but for my kids and my grandkids. Like the arena, it's still there. It's still very feasible and usable. I think there's some different uses that could be done. The other thing that I question is convention space. In floor space, I've built plenty of buildings that are just 4 walls, concrete floors, roof, pretty simple structures for auto mechanics to work in. And it's a deal that when I look at floor space, I can build a building for $100. And I've talked to some of the people that are real estate people that are very pro-downtown. They talk about convention space being very cheap, inexpensive space. If we're looking for convention space out there and to add on, let's not get this evolving, expensive, elaborate, morphing, entity out there. Build it for convention. Build the floor space. You can probably build 100,000 square feet for $10 million. And it's not a $100 million project to build that convention space. If the convention business is there, great, let's capitalize on it. Let's bring it in. Let's support it. But let's not throw $100 million at a $10 million equation. And if it comes down to an actual event center where you want it and you want people to gather to join in as a community and to actually enjoy the event, more than if they walk through a parking lot full of cars and they walk 6 blocks through a parking lot of cars, there's no commerce, there's no camaraderie, there's no spirit of community. You walk downtown, and I've been to a couple of alien downtowns, and you walk downtown and there's no one there. What does that indicate to people that are thinking about coming into the community for the medical jobs, for the legal jobs, for the professional jobs? They walk and see a ghost town downtown as opposed to a thriving downtown where people are parking maybe 6, 8 blocks away. Yeah, they might take a wrong corner, but do you know what? They might bump into a business that they've never seen before and say, hey, that looked pretty cool. I want to come back and patronize that business. So I recommend for a deferral, and I think that downtown should be further evaluated.
Mr. Billion, thank you. Thanks for your investment in Sioux Falls as well. Thank you. Sir, welcome. Not to diminish your good words, if you could keep them less than 5 minutes, we'd really appreciate it.
I'll do my best.
Thank you.
My name is Dan Doyle. I'm a Sioux Falls citizen, born and raised. I grew up on the west and south side of town. I currently live in the central part of town. I do work downtown, although I don't have any personal reasons or motives for this, but I'm also in favor of the downtown event center. I jotted down a few quick thoughts on the event center this morning, and I'll give those to you in a second. I just want to say that I recently came from a Rotary meeting, and there the former editor of the Argus Leader was there, and he was giving a speech to the Rotary Club about the transition over the last 100 years between Sioux City and Sioux Falls. And in there he gave a long discussion about the different events that took place in the city of Sioux Falls and the way that it evolved into what it is now. A few thoughts or things that I gleaned from that as to nuggets that we can take and use in looking for how the city can move forward. When you're talking about the city of Sioux Falls, the biggest thing that he stressed, and the reason that he stressed that Sioux Falls had been successful, is because the city was a community of motivated, entrepreneurial, spirited people. When you talk about where to place an event center and how to stir up economic development, how to stir up economic redevelopment, the things that we're trying to support are those local businesses. The local businesses, as many people have spoken here and said and talked about, where there are local owners involved in these businesses, are located downtown. They're not the places that are on the interstate and on 41st Street that are chain places that are coming into town just to gain a buck from our high population. If you want to get people and you want to get foot traffic into local businesses, the way to do it is with an event center. And I'll jump into my thing here now. What I jotted down are the top 5 things of what the event center is not and what an event center is. First, The event center is not an agenda on a to-do list or a personal agenda. It's not one person's lasting legacy. It's not a state-owned structure. The event center is the Sioux Falls Event Center. It's here to benefit the city of Sioux Falls and the citizens there first and foremost. Everything else is collateral. It's not a fast food restaurant. It's not something where cars drive in and drive out. We want people to come to the event center, mingle there, and then help out the community surrounding it. You can't do that by placing it in the middle of nowhere. It needs to be in an area where there is an established infrastructure and established businesses to support the community. And that's where tax dollars are generated. That's where the benefit to the event center comes to fruition. As the gentleman over here said before, he used the Washington Pavilion as an example. And I remember, Mayor Huther, when you spoke in your election with Mr. Staggers about the Washington Pavilion. And what we talked about in that discussion is that although, yes, the city does support and subsidize or help out the Washington Pavilion, the profits that are gained from the pavilion or the profits that are gained or not gained from an event center are not the benefit or the boon to the city. If we make a $100 profit and the event center stays in the black, what does that gain us? Everything that's gained by the event center is the collateral that comes from it. It's the support of the businesses. It's the tax dollars that are generated. It's the way that it helps out the community as a whole. What the event center is, it's an item that's necessary for the progress of the city. It's a representation of the city and its people. It's a place where citizens come together to support their city. It's a marketing tool for the city. And it's an economic power plant that fuels the businesses and the community that surround it, regardless of its own economic interests. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else who'd like to speak to this topic, please just come forward, state your name. Thank you. Miss, welcome.
My name is Ellen Smith, and I will be
Welcome, Ms.
brief.
Smith.
I know you have all had a very long day and a long night ahead of you, as I can tell by the agenda. So I do thank you for the time, but I'm not going to bite my tongue on this tonight. It's a very important issue, and for those of you that spoke up today and asked questions because you recognize how important of an issue it is, thank you. A couple things about the event center, and I know you've probably heard enough on it tonight, but I think that a couple things. One, I'm not sure that, we see all the facts from the monthly update that we're going to have that's a presentation. I know this was the last question that Councilor Brown asked you, and to consider when the public would have a chance to provide some feedback. And a monthly update that you spend providing a presentation doesn't do that. I think it could make your Monday night meetings a little long. So I would just suggest that you really think about that. Also, Councilor Anderson, I want to thank you very much for pointing out that Mayor Huther has presented a vision in which he has also stated that he's going to do an analysis of the downtown site to other sites. I was very confused about that, especially on the 500 that was given. I've seen this kind of back and forth, not quite sure, is this just the vision down at the arena, or are we going to see an economic analysis of the other potential sites? And I think you made it very clear today that we should see that. I do hope it's not just bullet points from past task studies and the way that those could be read, because as you all know and have heard tonight, there have been some differing ways that you might read those based on how you think the public might vote, and the public hasn't had a vote. So thank you for pointing that out. And I do hope that all of you will continue to ask those questions and continue to make sure that we get that analysis, because we haven't to date. I would, obviously, you can see I have my own personal feelings. I just hope that we do see that. The traffic being a problem or not being a problem. My recollection of the numbers from the task studies that have been done is that downtown has more parking than the current arena site. But you know what? If there is problems, I think that people stick around and wait for the traffic to go away and spend some money. So, yay! Anyway, I hope that you will make sure that we get that analysis of the sites, because it's been very confusing to me whether or not this is one vision or a vision of multiple potential opportunities for the city of Sioux Falls, and hopefully an event center to come.
Thanks for your enthusiasm, Ellen. Thank you. Sir, welcome. You got a hard one to follow up on. Good luck.
I'm Carter Christensen. I'm a student at Lincoln High School.
Hey, Carter.
I've been really involved with this entire project for a long time. It's, for some odd reason, it's just a project that really has caught my attention, that I'm so involved in. I think it's just because it's really going to affect the youth of this city. It's going to affect whether or not after college, if students from college want to move back to Sioux Falls, or if they want to move to bigger cities. It's also a matter of us being the green generation. We are going to be using bikes and other modes of transportation to get around in the future. It's important for us to note that we're not building the event center for now, but we're building it for the next 50 years. And the next 50 years is me. That's my generation. That's students at Lincoln, Roosevelt, anywhere in the city. It's just important, I guess, and I keep saying important, that we look to see how we can get people to come back to the city after college, after high school, if they want to stay here for college, where they want to live. It's crazy that, I guess, lost for words here. It's just kind of...
Take your time.
I don't know.
Take your time. You're doing well.
It's a big issue that I guess has been in the media, and not a lot of students really recognize that, but it's big. It affects us. It's a $100 million project. I just want to see it. I want to see it downtown. I want to see it downtown because of the economic impact, the traffic. That's definitely not an issue. Bill Peterson, most of you know, said, quote, where a city does not, I think it's like a city does not thrive without a healthy heart. I think with the event center, we would make downtown a healthy heart for the city. As we grow outward, we also want to make sure we don't focus just on urban sprawl, whether on the south side, east side, or west side. We also want to focus on revitalization here in the core of the city. So it's important, and I want the council members to make sure that, it's not just for people here, people now, but it's for students, my generation, and it's a project that's going to be affecting us. And that's all I have to say.
You did a really good job, Carter.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Rhodes.
Carter, I've seen you speak, and I've seen you around the event center task force that we're on, and I appreciate a young person like you taking an interest in public affairs. And quite frankly, I wouldn't be surprised to see you sitting in one of these chairs someday.
Thank you.
Tell your friends to do the same. Good job, Carter. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council. My name is Kadir Aware. I'm resident of the City of Sioux Falls for 34 years. One thing I'm concerned about City of Sioux Falls, would we be here, where are we going to be 10 years from now on? So I hope all the group, and I want to make sure I'm not part of any group in here. I'm a single citizen in this community. I hope all the group working in the event center, one day, very soon, you all come to the table and work together and find a solution what's best for City of Sioux Falls. That's one. Second, I hope either group, past group, the new group, the downtown group, City Council, Mayor, do not use this as a political game. Sioux Falls, the younger generation, the community 10 years from now on, 20 years from now on. And I hope if you guys doing this, do it as soon as possible, because every year you backing it up, costing you another $20 million to get it done. Because I remember gallon of gas was 45 cents in Sioux Falls. Now you pay $3. So every piece of building is more expensive. So a lot of time I hear people talking about Fargo Dome. Believe me, 35% people in Fargo and Moorhead think Fargo Dome is a building of NDSU. It's not belong to City of Fargo, because way outside, Just like the gentleman said it before. If I go to Fargo Dome because I like football or I like something else, as soon as I get in my car, I get 29 and come back south to Sioux Falls. I'm not going to stop anywhere else. But if it's in the downtown, give me an opportunity to go someplace to eat or look around or spend a couple $dollars to bring text back to that community. So downtown, which I respect Carol Pagona very, very much. She is my role model. She is my leader, and that's was her dream, to put this place in downtown, not just because of her, because she knows downtown is a key place for City of Sioux Falls. I remember many, many years ago when I take if somebody came into City of Sioux Falls, I was shy to take them to the Falls Park. Period. And I mentioned that in the past, how diddly, how messy it was. Now is a beautiful place. We have a lot of more beautiful places in downtown. If we think about it more carefully and bring it to the downtown, you bring more businesses and people. And a lot of time people, as I hear talking about traffic, my gosh, we live in the City of Sioux Falls. The biggest traffic we have is about 30 second, 40 second or minute. Okay, come on. So we gotta be very open-minded to make the best decision for City of Sioux Falls. My other issue, I read it in the paper, and I apologize, then wasn't able to make it 4 o'clock. We're talking about 10,000 seat or 12,000 seat. Big mistake, with due respect. If we want to make something in this city, make it for 50 years, 75 years, 20 years from now on. We not say, this is small again, we gotta add in it. I support the last proposal with the 18,000 seat. If we making it, we got to have enough room in the downtown area to stay for many, many years. So with that, again, my most point is to make this city better, nicer, and more respectful to all citizens of this community. And thank you guys all.
Nice job, Kadir, nice job. Just to clarify, the last Event Center Task Force, they had recommended a 12,000-seat arena with the expansion capability to 15. It's all right. It's all right. Good job, though. Folks, anybody else who'd like to speak on this topic, please feel free to, or any other topic as well. Sir, welcome. Just state your name, please.
My name is Steve Hildebrand, Mayor Council. I am very happy to be here. Tonight I want to just ask you a couple of very simple things. One, does the City of Sioux Falls deserve a side-by-side economic comparison between what a $100 million facility would mean to the people of Sioux Falls if it were located at the arena or at a downtown site? I've had many conversations with almost everyone on this council and the mayor. We met with the mayor on Tuesday, and we had a very good and frank conversation. And we asked that simple question: Mayor, would you please include in your $500,000 spending a side-by-side comparison of what economic benefits this facility would provide Sioux Falls downtown versus the arena? That's a fair question. We should not build an arena simply to go to concerts or sporting events. We should build an arena to spur economic development. That's what this facility should be built for. That's what the $100 million investment should be about. It should be about spurring economic development. Are businesses going to grow, expand, begin in a greater way downtown, or are they going to do that at the arena site? Will sales tax increase proportionally better downtown or at the arena site? Will more jobs be created downtown or at the arena site? That's what this $100 million investment's about. It's not about going to events. We all want that. We all enjoy that. We like to take our kids and our friends and our neighbors there. But the bottom line is, if the city is going to invest $100 million, we ought to invest it in a way that makes sense. Go to 100 other cities, Mayor, not just 20. And in your analysis of 20 other sites, are they building them downtown or are they building them on the edge of town? I'm sorry to say this because I'm proud of my entire city, but if you pick a site that is the most uninteresting, the most desolate part of town to bring 12,000 people to an event, you do nothing to impress them of our great city. You bring them downtown, we've got a great downtown. We are so proud of our downtown. People love going downtown. It has changed dramatically. It's safe. There's great things to do. There are small business people who have invested their life savings in these tiny little great shops. They're the ones that need the help. They're the ones who need the economic development to be spurred. They're the ones that need the 12,000 people to come downtown. We should base this on economics. All other things considered, just give us that one chance. Give us an economic comparison side by side. That's all we're asking. I started a Facebook group 4 weeks ago for a downtown location to see if there was support for it, because I, in my own being, didn't know if there was support for it. In 4 short weeks, 1,308 people have enthusiastically joined our downtown group. There is no excitement for an arena location, and there's no economic sense for that to happen. So all I ask is for this mayor and this council to give us a side-by-side comparison of economic data so that that is a determining factor of where this should be built and nothing else. Thank you.
Steve, thank you very much. Sir, come on up, please.
Norman Drake. Thank you, Mayor and council members, for allowing me to speak. I can reiterate all the things that have already been said, but to me, as a longtime businessman in the community, that having this event center is really about creating economic opportunity and creating jobs. I know from having to recruit programmers back in the 90s to Sioux Falls that it was a challenge. But the city of Sioux Falls has great attributes, and it's through leadership of yourselves and other people before you. Our governors have created a great place to do business, and we have the opportunity right now to create something, as everybody else has said, that will continue to drive economic development if located in the right location. If all it is something else that people are just going to stop by for a football game or for some other type of sporting or entertainment event, we've really not created that much. At the end of the day, we need to leave a lasting impression upon every person that comes to our community. That's all I've got to say.
You did very well, Mr. Drake. Thank you very much for your time. Folks, anybody else who'd like to speak on this or any other topic, please come forward. Thank you. Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Greg LaFollette. I'm a CPA. I've practiced in Sioux Falls for 40 years. I grew up in the North End way before it was a historic district. It was a Catholic ghetto back then. We've heard lots of really, really great and interesting comments tonight, and I don't want to go there. What I want to challenge you as a council and you, Mr. Mayor, is this is a matter of leadership. The facts downtown are not as obvious as maybe the fact pattern would be out at the arena. It's very easy for a non-interested, non-studious voter to look at what's out there and simply say, well, the right place to put it is at the arena because there's lots of parking out there. The facts are that that's not true. It's actually the other way around. But that's going to take work. It's going to take leadership on your part. This is not a place where you simply stick your finger in the air and say, what's the opinion of the public at this point? It's a matter of leadership. And I challenge each of you to look at all of the facts and then be a leader, because we don't have a government that takes a vote of the people on every single item. Part of this is just a matter of great leadership, and I hope that we have that leadership. I know almost all of you personally, and individually you are all great leaders. I hope that together you can be great leaders, and 50 years from now people can look back at what you've done and feel the same way as I feel now about Joe Foss Field or Eros or the other things that people did 50 years ago. Be a leader. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Welcome. Just state your name, please. Thank you.
Anita Wedge. Thank you, Mayor Huther and Council. I was part of a group that met with the mayor earlier, and I want to just extend some of the comments that we shared with the mayor to the rest of you. I want to stress that we really do want to help you. We are not here to be a divisive group. We are not here to do anything other than to try to put our city into a process that we all can make an evaluation, that we can propel this forward. And I think we all agree on one thing, and I know that we do agree on this, is that the city should have an event center. Now is the right time for a variety of reasons. So I agree with Brendan that for more reasons than not, we stand here together really united on that today. I think where we differ is the process that we're about to enter into. And I think that there is some confusion on the process that we're about to enter into, because I don't understand a participative process that the vision is actually been put out there. To me, that's just a vision that's been put out there, and then the facts are going to be applied to it. So what we're asking for is truly that you take a look at the arena site and one or two alternative sites in a full and complete analysis where all of the facts are gathered at whatever level that we determine is appropriate with the amount of money that's been appropriated at this point in time. We use that information to prepare the facts, present the facts, put it out to the people so that they can be educated and understand. Potentially we poll the people, we prepare for the vote. This can all still happen in 2014. You know, let the facts speak for itself. Put us in a process where that happens. We want to help you. We want to have an event center in this city by 2014. Thank you.
Thank you, Anita. Thank you. Great job. Folks, anybody else would like to speak on any topic involving your great city? As long as it's not on the agenda, please come forward. Well, I do thank you for your passionate comments. Time out. Come on up, sir. You won't wait longer next time. Welcome. Sir, it's good to have you here. Welcome. And please just state your name.
Thank you. My name is Tom Munster, and we've heard a lot of great things here tonight about Sioux Falls and about the potential of having an event center. We've heard about passion, parking, return on investment, and what it'll mean to future generations of Sioux Falls. And we've heard from a lot of people who are advocating for downtown. Is there anyone here in this room that's advocating for the Howard Wood Field or the arena site? Is there anyone? One?
Sir, if you could just continue on with your comments, we'd appreciate it, just in the spirit of being fair to everybody.
Absolutely. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing about the return on the investment and the passion and the parking and all the great things that an arena site will do for the city of Sioux Falls. There might be a couple of people here that want to get up and speak, and I look forward to hearing that. Otherwise, you've heard from a lot of people that think that downtown Sioux Falls is the place to have this event center, and that should tell you something. Thank you.
Mr. Munster, thank you. Just to be fair, there was a task force that just spent the last 18 months going over this topic and many others. So I think to be fair to all the 157,890 people of this city, just whoever shows up at tonight's meeting is not going to determine the future vote of the city. It's early on in the process, Mr. Munster. In fact, it's now about 2 hours since we just gave the presentation, so I don't think we're ready to vote on it yet, Sioux Falls. It will be a passionate process. It'll be a thorough process. It'll be one that I know that the City Council will be heavily involved in. They'll demand it. They'll want it to be open. They'll want it to be transparent. They'll want it to be participatory. And we will make that happen. So again, for all of those good people, men and women alike, who had the spirit to come up forward and to share their input, we truly appreciate it. It was very, very good, and I look forward to working with all of you, as well as does the City Council. If there is nobody else who'd like to speak, we will move on with the rest of tonight's agenda, but one last chance if anybody would like to speak. Other than that, we will continue this dialogue, Sioux Falls. I promise you that. Well, thank you. Thank you all. We really appreciate it. Let's move on to tonight's agenda, please. That is item number 18, is that right?
We're on unfinished business.
Okay, unfinished, thank you.
Council members, in the past, we read all of the unfinished business items, and then we vote on all of them as a whole. Is that how you wish me to proceed?
Tamara,
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, if I might, I would like to move that we remove items 11 and 12 to be considered separately. That's a motion.
Councilor Box made a motion to remove items 11 and 12 separately. Is there a second?
Second, Aguilar.
It's been seconded by Councilor Aguilar. Thank you very much. Any comments or discussion on that particular topic? Hearing none, there's been a motion to move those two items separately. Could we have a roll call vote on that, please?
Council members Jamison?
Yes.
Litz?
No.
Rolfing?
No.
Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Entenmann? No. Erpenbach?
Yes.
City Council then has passed 5-3 to move items 11 and 12 to a later point on the agenda. Could we have a motion to approve the other items?
Okay, I will read the items first.
Thank you.
And then we'll take it from there.
Thank you.
Item 8 is a 2010 retail wine license for Hy-Vee Incorporated, Hy-Vee Food Store, number 6, to be operated at 1231 East 57th Street, with the conditional use permit 2010-0806 being approved on September 1st, 2010. Item 9 is a new 2010-2011 retail malt beverage license for Bros Brazzari Americano, LLC, Bros Brazzari Americano, to be operated at 332-334 South Phillips Avenue, with the conditional use permit 2010-0804 being approved on September 1st, 2010, pending final inspection per fire. Item 10 is a transfer of a 2010 retail wine license from Chef Amy's Cafe 334 LLC, Chef Amy's Cafe 334 South Phillips Avenues, to Bros Brazzari Americano LLC, Bros Brazzari Americano, to be operated at 332-334 South Phillips Avenue, with the conditional use permit 2010-0804 being approved on September 1st, 2010. Item 13 is a transfer of a 2010 packaged liquor license from Laverne Supermarkets Incorporated, Sunshine Foods, 3809 East 10th Street, to Laverne Supermarkets Incorporated, Sunshine Foods, to be operated at 530 South 2nd Avenue. Item 14 is to rescind 2010-2011 packaged malt beverage license issued to Laverne Supermarkets Incorporated, Sunshine Foods, 530 South 2nd Avenue. Item 15 is a special one-day liquor license for Washington Pavilion Management Incorporated, Washington Pavilion of Arts and Scientists, 301 South Main Avenue, for a reception and awards dinner on October 8th, 2010. Item 16 is a special one-day liquor license for Great Bear Recreational Park Incorporated, Great Bear Recreation Park, to be operated at 5901 East Rice Street, for a reception on October 9th, 2010. Item 17 is a special one-day off-sale package wine license for the Sioux Falls Jazz and Blues Society, to be operated at the Sioux Falls Convention Center, 1211 Northwest Avenue, on October 15th, 16th, 2010, for the Expo for Her.
Lori, welcome.
All right, thank you, Tamara. Lori Hogstead with the City Attorney's Office, answering questions on items 8 through 10 or 13 through 17.
Hearing none, could I have a motion, or, in fact, before we do a motion, is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak to the items that we've just went through? Seeing none, okay, great. Could I have a motion, please, to approve the following items that have been read?
Move to approve.
Second, Entenmann. Councilor Jameson's made a motion to approve, seconded by Councilor Entenmann. Any further discussion, City Council? Hearing none, if I could have a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Jamison?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Entenmann?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
That has passed 8-0. Could we go to item 11 and 12, please?
Item 11 is the transfer of a 2010 retail liquor license from 4900 Building LLC, The Oaks Hotel, 3300 West Russell Street, to 4900 Building LLC, name to be determined, to be operated at 214 South Phillips Avenue, including Sunday sales, with the conditional use permit 2010-0803 being approved on September 1st, 2010, pending final inspections per Fire, Health, and Building Services. Item 12 is renewal of a 2010 retail liquor license for 4900 Building LLC, name to be determined, to be operated at 214 South Phillips Avenue, including Sunday sales, with the conditional use permit 2010-0803 being approved on September 1st, 2010, pending final inspections per Fire Health and Building Services.
Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you, Tamara. Just to mention, item 12 is actually renewal of the 2011 retail liquor license. We're just a little bit ahead of the game with that one. I can answer questions on these two, and I do have the applicant present to answer questions as well.
Are there questions? Yes, Councilor Jameson.
Well, I guess I was just going to recommend that we hear from the applicant, but if Councilor Erpenbach has something, I don't want to.
I guess what I'd like to hear from someone from planning first to tell us give us an update on the Oaks process at this point.
Mike Cooper, Planning and Building Services. The Oaks is being demolished, and again, the exact timeline, the owner is here tonight that maybe can give you a better idea of what the scheduled completion date might be, but the demolition is underway as well as asbestos abatement, so we're pleased to see some progress being made, and of course, an announcement has been made that there is future plans for redevelopment of that property.
And remind us, too, there were a series of fines and citations against that property as well.
Right,
Those
approximately $5,000 worth of assessments that have been paid, were paid last week by the owner of the property, Mr. Graham.
And it came an email that the property taxes had been caught up as well on that property, and that was in the neighborhood of $200,000. Is that correct? Came as an email, so I'm assuming it from the mayor's office.
That I'm not familiar with.
Okay. That's what I need. Thank you.
Councilor Erpenbach, are you familiar with the property taxes of the current owner's responsibility, or are they from the previous owner?
I don't know that. I believe it was partly previous owner, that he caught them all up, is what I'm saying, the whole entire $200,000.
Mr. Mayor, I just, I look at this situation and what's going on out there, and I'd also like to remind this council that they did let that building get a few windows and doors kicked in, as well as holes cut in the ceiling, so the SWAT team and the fire department could go out there and practice, which is a community service. The deal that they've been trying to work out there fell victim to economic hard times, and I just am very reluctant to hold it against a business owner for having maybe some cash flow problems at the time. I think he's demonstrated good faith by bringing everything up to date here with this building, and I, for one, would be very reluctant to stop what they've got going right now and further embarrass this person by denying them what they're trying to do right now. I just wish them the best, and, I would wish everybody in this room that is a businessman and understands what that person is going through a little empathy on the part of this. So I would encourage my colleagues to pass this thing out. Thank you.
Councilor Brown.
I can certainly respect problems with cash flow and trying to put a deal together in this environment that we have today. However, what I can't respect is the fact that that property wasn't mowed, it wasn't cared for, and the debris that contributed right there at the gateway of our community, and the businesses that had to survive next to it, and what it could have done to them. That I can't respect, and for that I'm going to be voting against this.
Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak to this? And what we'd ask is that if you were opposed to this, we'd like you to come first. And then if you are in favor of it, we'd like you to come second. Is there anybody who's opposed to this? If you would come forward, please. Welcome.
Thank you for your time. I'm Rochelle Scopp, a resident of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, also a business owner. And I'm here appearing, as I did before the zoning hearing, for the same reason. I'm here tonight and I want to be very clear about why I'm here tonight. I think there was some confusion at the zoning meeting why I was there. I'm not here to have my personal experience heard or to have a soapbox for my concerns about my personal experience. I'm here to have my personal experience be an example of what I believe you should have concerns about. The experiences and the concerns at our dealership I believe speak to the fitness and the appropriateness of David Graham having another business location in Sioux Falls, given his track record at the location he already owns at the Oaks, which are 2 properties down from my dealership. In the past 2 weeks, asbestos abatement, demolition, fine, catch-up, all that sort of thing has occurred. He has paid, the thousands of dollars in violations, but that was for maintenance that the city had to do. There were violations of code for the city. But, to all appearances, it would seem that Mr. Graham is stepping to the plate and fulfilling his obligations and being a good neighbor and a good citizen. But I always think that the measure of a person is what they do when no one's watching. I think that's also true of a business owner. It's easy to step to the plate and be a good citizen when you're in front of the cameras and you have the mayor there for a press conference, when all eyes are on you, when the Argus leader is interviewing you, when you know that concerned people like me will be speaking here tonight, as I did at the zoning meeting. You're going to be asking for something tonight. It's easy to step up to the plate then. It's easy to pay your fines and bills for the work that the city did to the property in a city in the week when you plan to ask that same city for something that you want and need. But what happens when the cameras are off or the economic times are tough, as they were for all of us? When no one's watching and the eyes are looking elsewhere? What's the measure of that business person then? With David Graham, we have over 2 years of a track record of what happens then. Weeds grow, windows get broken into, property owners around them have to go down and mow themselves. It's been done. We have to call the police department, the health department. We have to drive the property in the evenings and let them know that there are parties in there, there's lights on in there. For 2 years, more than 2 years, we have a track record of someone who didn't, even though there's economic difficulties, we all had that. We all let people go. Many of us are cleaning our own dealerships and out there spraying the weeds in our own asphalt. I've done it. I'm doing it. You do what you have to do when you're a business owner. But basic maintenance does not cost that much money. Being a basic good neighbor, responding to concerns and phone calls from your neighbor, responding to a city who's calling you to do the very basics to keep your property in maintenance. We have an over 2-year track record. And you know what? From David Graham, of what he does or basically does not do. And that speaks volumes to me. I'm not sure what it speaks to you, but it tells me that this is the type of person that I would be very reluctant to allow to have a second location. Certainly he stepped up to the plate, but it's been about a 2-week plate. What happened to the more than 2 years track record? I urge you to consider that very strongly when considering him for the location downtown. Thank you.
Michelle, thank you very much. Is there anyone else in the audience who'd like to speak in opposition to this tonight? Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor of this tonight? Mr. Graham?
David Graham, Sioux Falls. Obviously there is one person here that does oppose this. Unfortunately, Rochelle indicated that the neighbors have called. Unfortunately, I've never had a phone call from Rochelle, so I've not ignored her by any means. Yes, the city is, we've agreed to disagree on a few issues. Some of the citizens of Sioux Falls took it upon themselves to break into the hotel. As soon as we could put a board up to secure the structure, somebody else would throw a rock through or somebody else would decide to break in there. So our intent when we bought the property was to bulldoze it and demolish it immediately. We let the contracts or the reservations that we had on the book go through. The minute those were done, we said, we're done. We're out of business. We're going to demo the facility and move forward. Like Bob said, Mr. Litz said, we did have the issue with, economic downturn, et cetera. I wish we could have built this 2 years ago. We had a bank on board to the bottom of the ninth inning. For whatever reason, that fell apart when the economy dropped. The stock market dropped 20% in one day. People got a little scared. Moving forward, we are going to move. Well, Michelle also said I've only been stepping up to the plate the last 2 weeks. I highly disagree with that. We've been working on this since summer. When we made the announcement, we found out we had asbestos in there. We had to go through that. When you get an asbestos bid, and the first one I received was $180,000 to remove the asbestos. well, I'd like to get a few more bids. And so that's what we did. We went through the bid process like you would do, obviously, when we build this event center. You're going to go through a bid process. You're not going to take the first bid you receive. That took a month and a half for all the bids to come in. Once we received the bid that we decided to go with and could stomach the pain of cutting the check for it, we decided to go that route and go. And, Runge was on board to do the demolition, and he's been with us for quite some time, and he was ready to go. And the minute the asbestos was remediated and removed, he stepped up and did it. So I guess that's what I've got for now.
Mr. Graham, with City Council, does anybody have any questions for Mr. Graham? Yes. Councilor Entman?
The transfer of the liquor license to downtown, Mr. Graham, what are your plans?
Our plan is to do an upscale pub slash eatery, so we'll have a nice restaurant in there. We're not going to compete with Minerva's. Minerva's already fits the bone for an upscale steakhouse, but we'll be good food at a competitive price, and obviously serving drinks.
When are your plans to open up?
Well, as soon as possible.
Have you been working on the facility now?
Working on the facility, we've got contractors ready to go. Obviously, pending the outcome tonight, we've got all the furniture and all the fixtures ready to be ordered, and so we're ready to go.
Councilor Erpenbach had questioned what your schedule was for the Oaks. Could you give us an update on that schedule, where you're at, the timelines you have, and what the plans are once the demolition is completed?
Well, the demolition process, Runge said anywhere from another 2.5 to 3 weeks, maybe a month on the demolition process. So I don't imagine any more than 1 month before the entire facility is completely gone. And what else was your question there?
What about the plans for the facility then?
Yeah, the upcoming plans at this point, we've got a Comfort Suites franchise secured. At this point, we're not going to move forward with development until we get a bank on board, and I feel a little more comfortable, from a financial position. We've got some investors ready to go. We have SBA approval, but we're just kind of sitting tight here. Will we get it done yet this spring? Well, we'd like to, or this fall, maybe, probably not. If it has to be pushed out to the spring, well, that's what we'll do. So,
to address Ms. Scopp's concerns going forward, can you give me any idea what your plans might be as far as maintenance of the facility once the demolition is completed? How are you going to secure the ground that's there? Can you give me some
Well, the ground there won't need securing, Jim, but thanks. We won't have windows, we won't have doors that can be broken into at this point in time. When it comes to the grass and the weeds, obviously, we've got a couple good maintenance guys at this point that will take care of that, and we'll step up and make sure that's completed satisfactorily. So.
Any further questions for Mr. Graham before we allow him to sit down? Thank you, Mr. Graham. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else who'd like to speak in favor of this or in opposition to this? Please come forward. Very good, very good. Sir, I'm sorry. Please come on up. Welcome. If you could just restate your name, we'd appreciate it.
My name is Tom Munster, and I'm here to speak in favor of the plan to relocate this liquor license to 214 South Phillips. Full disclosure, I own the building at 214 South Phillips and worked very hard to renovate that building. I think that as we were renovating it, we were trying to do something that would be in keeping with the historic traditions of downtown. We think we've accomplished that. And in trying to find the right tenant and the right owner for that building, I tried to be very selective to make sure it was something that was in keeping with the character of the neighborhood and would add to downtown Sioux Falls. We think we found that, and I hope that you will vote in favor of allowing this liquor license to be located at 214 South Phillips. Thank you.
Mr. Munster, thank you. City Council, is there anyone who'd like to make a motion on items number 11 or are we on 12 and 13? 11 and 12.
Mr. Mayor, just
yes,
point of order.
Rhodes.
Michelle, was it in your intent to kind of separate 11 from 12 so we talk about them separately?
No, it was not.
Okay.
To me, they're kind of, I realize technically they're not a package, but to me they're a package when we vote.
Mr. Mayor, I do have one question for Chief Hill, please. Thank you, Chief. Say a while back, the fire department came to us and wanted an ordinance change if we had too many false alarms to be able to fine people to, bring them into compliance and not spend so much money on this type of thing. And is this the first time that we've brought forward a fine in this type of situation?
We have not gone forward with a fine in this case.
Very good. Yeah, I see in here it says that it was a rental, or it was Mr. Graham, a rental, a unit that was in the 5,000 building of South Minnesota Avenue. Is that correct?
It was Golden West Apartments. I don't remember the address. We had two instances where we responded to calls at the apartment and could not get a hold of Mr. Graham, and then attempted to contact the alarm company that services the alarm system there, and they would not come to the apartment. From the fire report, it says that because the owner had not been paying the bills for the alarms.
Would you want to wager a guess as to how much this time has cost the city fire department? If you'd have to sum it up, just kind of a thumbnail sketch.
I do not have an estimate.
Not an idea?
No.
Okay. Thank you, Don.
No, it'd be more of a concern of the condition of the alarm panel. Yeah.
Thank you, Don.
Mm-hmm.
Councilor Litz, did you want Mr. Graham to respond
I don't
to
think
that?
it's necessary.
Okay, very good, very good. Thank you. Thank you. City Council, we are dealing with items 11 and 12. Would anybody like to make a motion, or do you have any further comments before we make a motion? Councilor Jameson.
I would just maybe make a general observation that perhaps we don't have the best of experience working with this applicant here, but I also get a sense, too, that in times when people are struggling and business isn't going well, things kind of fall apart. And that can happen to any one of us. It appears like the ducks have gotten in line, things are in order, maybe with a little more force. The applicant is more likely to do things when urged along. But I do like the idea of starting a new business downtown. I like the idea of getting that Oaks Hotel torn down. That's happening. It's taken maybe too long. This is a touchy deal that trying to maybe possibly deny an applicant based on his character. It's a tough decision for us to make. It's a subjective one. It's hard. But I would just suggest that maybe let this happen. Give this guy a chance to prove himself right. He used the word step up. I hope he does. I'd rather give a guy a chance than to keep him out, I guess, if that's a way to say it. But I would urge for your approval, and let's hope for the best.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
With that in
Councilor
mind, I
Hoffman.
would agree with Councilor Jameson and move approval of items 11 and 12.
Second, Litz.
There's been a motion by Councilor Rolfing, seconded by Councilor Litz, to approve items as read, items 11 and 12. Is there any further discussion from the City Council on this item? Hearing none, we will have a roll call vote, please.
Council members Jameson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Brown?
No.
Entenmann?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
No.
Thank you, City Council. That is passed 6-2. Item number 18.
Item number 18 is an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, providing appropriations and the means of financing for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2011.
Good evening. Tom Huber with the Finance Office. This is the ordinance that appropriates the governmental funds portion of the 2011 budget that was adopted on September 13th. Total appropriation is $190,674,819.
Thank you, Mr. Huber. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak to this item? City Council, would anybody like to make a motion on this item?
Move to approve.
Second, Litz.
There's been a motion by Councilor Entman, seconded by Councilor Litz to approve item number 18. Folks, any discussion? Yes, Councilor Jameson?
This is the item that I think most of the people that were here for the downtown event center argument were talking about. They were asking for similar treatment to propose their site or a downtown site as an option as far as the $500,000 goes for studying the event center. They chose to do it under the public input section, but I've got just maybe one question that I'd like to ask, is that if, related to that topic, that if I were able to raise $5 million from the downtown group, would that change your minds? Would it persuade you to, say, allocate $500,000 to develop a study on the downtown area, do the economic study, do the site analysis and other things? But if I could raise $5 or $10 million, would you think that that would be something that you would cool your jets on and maybe see if that could actually happen? Just a question, I guess, if you're willing to consider that.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilor
I'd like to ask Councilor Jameson, is this, would this be held in an escrow account or earnest money account? Would it be earmarked for something? Would there be contingency on if it didn't work out, that this money would go back to the owners? I guess I have questions about the money being raised.
I would say we could do probably whatever you'd like, but what I'm suggesting in a roundabout way is that you will not have that option in just a few moments. So why would we do that?
Well, I guess I don't believe we won't have that option. I think that these things are going to come forward. I think we've got a long process to go through, and I also believe that Mr. Huther, Mayor Huther, is going to listen to us if we say we want a downtown study. I believe that.
Councilor Rolfing.
Councilor Jameson, I guess I don't appreciate being held hostage with a $5 million bounty. And so even if it was $50 million, I wouldn't feel good about it. I don't think it's appropriate for another counselor to hold that above us, saying that is this study that the mayor has put before us. This I don't even think it's a study. He has not said that he will not consider some other site. He has absolutely not said that is not going to be the case. He has said that this is a site at the arena that has come before from the last task force. That is probably the primary site. With some of the testimony that has come before us tonight, probably, I would say, he's going to look at some other sites. And maybe he should, and probably he should. And the economic impact is probably one that he should look at. And he should look at some other sites. But for you to hold us hostage by saying there's another $5 million that won't happen if we vote on something tonight is not the right way to go about this, Councilor. Thank you very much.
Mr. Fifley, is there a legal opinion in terms of, that you could provide us in terms of delaying the approval of a city budget based on the potential donation of a private investor in one of the CIP items that have been outlined by the mayor or by the department head, and that is thus been approved by a city council? Are there any legalities to doing that?
Mayor, there are requirements that this has to be done by the last meeting of October, which I believe would be the 18th of October. As far as the legality of a contingency like that, I'm not aware of it off the top of my head, whether we could have that type of a contingency hanging over it, but I'm guessing not.
Have you ever heard of an entity in government that has ever been not allowed to move forward based on the potential donation, investment of a certain dollar amount before moving forward on a budget of a city or a municipality or a county or anything like that?
No, Mr. Mayor. I think the two options would be black and white. Either you approve this tonight or you defer it, but I don't think you could put a contingency on it.
Probably especially a contingency based on a $5 million, whatever it was, investment. We use bounty, held hostage. If I have the opportunity to vote on this, I will, in no uncertain terms, vote absolutely not. Having our city of Sioux Falls that has just a wonderful history of accomplishing great things without any bounty or any amount of money set aside by any private entity, whether they're for something or against something, I just find unbelievably disingenuous. Disturbs me immensely. And as the mayor of Sioux Falls, I would highly urge the city council to take Councilor Jameson's words in the spirit that they were intended, but please disregard them in regards to this vote tonight. Thank you. Councilor Litz.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I don't think my friend Greg's holding us hostage to it. He's just trying to put an idea out there. But, if we're talking about ideas, I don't think that $5 million for the downtown site is going to go very far either. So, it may be a moot point.
Councilor Antoine.
I did have a lot of problems really trying to be quiet about the whole issue. I've been involved with two different task forces over a period of time since 2004. I was very impressed with the people that were up here tonight that came up and spoke, and what impressed me the most was the age of the folks. We had a lot of young adults that were out here that were passionate about the beliefs of downtown Sioux Falls and what it could hold, as I was when I began the process. I think as I developed and as this thing progressed, I was chairman of the site selection committee, for those of you that were aware or were not aware, and it was 50-50 when we started the process of where we wanted the event center to go, and I was in favor at that point in time of the convention center site. To me, being a simple person, it kind of made sense at the site. As we got into it, and we started looking at 9 different locations we looked at. We made trips to those locations. We looked at the economic feasibility of those as far as development and all those different kinds of things. And it came down to basically 2, the downtown location and the existing Arena Convention Center site. We did make a unanimous decision about the downtown location. Economic times, however, were a lot different then. And if you look at what it was that we looked at, it was actually part of a whole series of different things that identified community needs, including inside recreation needs, as well as an event center located downtown. And we defined and recommended 2 sites, one for a rec center at Drake Springs and one for an event center downtown. The downtown site, however, was all dependent upon moving the railroad and the costs that were associated with land acquisitions. As a matter of fact, on item 7 of the event center site recommendations, it read, point number 1, either of the 2 final sites work well. Point number 2, the task force endorses, the event center task force endorses the site committee's unanimous recommendation of the downtown site over the convention center site. Number 3, if the relocation of the railroad tracks is not progressing on a course which parallels the event center development without adding significant cost to the event center, or if land acquisition is not achievable at reasonable cost, the city should not hesitate in pursuing the project at the convention center site. And those were our recommendations. We did review a lot of things, from parking to a lot of other things that were involved with both site locations. We actually, the CVB at one point in time, had an expert come in that gave a presentation who highly recommended when asked, he's a consultant now out of California, and when asked, he said, actually a site in the city of Sioux Falls, because of its size, becomes somewhat of a non-issue. The question you need to ask yourself is, what are you missing or what are you losing by not having an event center? Somebody made the point about the fact that parking or driving through Sioux Falls, I can drive from the south end of Sioux Falls up to my store location in northern Sioux Falls in 25 minutes in the worst traffic we have in the city of Sioux Falls. traffic really isn't much of an issue when it comes to getting about. But traffic and accessing a place from out of town when people are coming in does become an issue in the minds of those people. So that is something to consider. And the project, also the scope of the project and what's been proposed has been exceptionally narrowed down to concentrating on an event center. The event center makes sense. We're not talking about convention space. We're not talking about remodeling the arena at this time. Those are two options that we're going to have as we go forward once the event center is completed. If we need additional space, there is some additional space to do at the event center or at the convention center, or maybe there's some other opportunities there. Who knows? But right now we're addressing an event center. So with that in mind, I appreciate what everybody has said. A lot of time and effort has been spent. We had some good folks, some great citizens that participated on both of our initial task forces that we had, and they were a broad representation of what our community really is, from young people up to elderly people to people with special needs. All walks of life were involved. All socioeconomic classes were involved. And we came up this last time with the recommendation that it be located at the convention center site. Is it perfect? Possibly not. Are people passionate about where it's going to be located throughout the city? Yes, they are passionate. The cost and what we're getting for our dollar, if you look at the initial cost of what it's going to cost, the infrastructure that exists, and when we talk infrastructure, we're talking about streets and everything that's involved. The opportunity right now for us to move forward on this with the best speed is looking at the existing convention center site. That's my belief. If we want to study the potential of doing it more, there's a lot of dollars that it's going to take. I think the process as we've defined it as we go forward is the next step on what the two previous task forces have already told us. And I think if we do go forward with it, we're putting the monkey on the mayor's back. He's promised us he's going to give us a lot of information as we go forward. He's promised to keep the community involved. And I think you're going to see a lot of efforts as we start to organize to keep people more informed, to have a lot of other things that we need to get accomplished. Those questions are going to be answered. So with that in mind, my motion is on the floor unless there is a change.
Second. It has already been seconded.
Call the question. You called the question, I seconded it. So now we should vote on calling the question. And then.
Thank you.
Good night. Call the question? Really?
Should we have a vote?
Can I know who made the motion?
Yes, there's a motion by Councilor Hendeman or Councilor Ruffing to call the question, and it's been seconded by Councilor Litz. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Jamison?
No.
Litz?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Brown?
No.
Entenmann?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
No.
5-3 was the vote. Can we have a vote on the motion is made on item number 18?
Councilmembers Jamison?
Yes.
Litz?
No.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Entenmann?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Councilor Litz?
Mr. Mayor, I misunderstood, and I do not want this to pass, so however, I have to vote on that.
You want, before Councilor Litz votes, would you mind just helping him understand what you're
Reiterate exactly what we're voting on.
My understanding is that we're voting on the second reading, passing of item 18.
The second reading of passing.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, then, yes, I'd like to do that. Yes, I'd like to change my vote if that's possible tomorrow.
Thank you. That is passed 8-0. Item number 19.
Item number 19 is an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city, the promotion transfer provisions of Section 30-37B.
Bill O'Toole, Human Resources Office.
Welcome, Bill.
This item is out of the Personnel Regulations in Chapter 30. And basically what this change is doing is addressing the method and manner on how we create certified eligibility lists for promotion transfer, and it's just impacting uniformed police and fire management positions. And what we're asking is an amendment that the only manner in which we put names on the certified eligibility list for fire management is simply by name only, absent test scores. And both police and fire chiefs are in support of the proposal and be happy to answer any questions.
Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak to item number 19? City Council, the floor is yours.
Move approval, Aguilar.
Second, Erbenbach.
Councilor Aguilar has made a motion to approve. It has been seconded by Councilor Anderson Jr. on item number 19. Any further discussion? Hearing none, if I could have a roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Jamison?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Entman?
Yes.
Erbenbach?
Yes.
Thank you. That is passed 8-0. Item number 20.
Item number 20 is a second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at 704 South Cleveland Avenue from the RD Residential District to the C2 General Commercial District, petition number 2010-0718, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends denial.
Good evening. I'm still Mike Cooper with City Planning and Building Services. And tonight we have a petition by the property owners who are Doug and Lucille Langdon. This particular property is located on the east side of Cleveland Avenue between 13th and 14th Streets. It's currently a single-family residence with a garage as well as a detached accessory building that has been used in the past as an auto repair business. The property is currently vacant and for sale. The history of this is that going back a number of years ago, it has been classified as a legal non-conforming use, which in zoning terminology means that at the time this particular property was brought into the city, that business was already in operation, although that the zoning was still residential. It was classified as a legal non-conforming use. So over the years, as the business continued to be operating there, as well as the residents continued to be occupied, that non-conforming status continued. Now that the property has been vacant for over 1 year, it does no longer hold that legal non-conforming status. And so the owners, Doug and Lucille Langdon, approached the city with concerns that they were no longer able to market this property for potential commercial use. And in working with the staff, particularly Jeff Schmidt, who is here tonight, we agreed to take this forward in working with the owners and looking at the potential of rezoning it to a commercial zoning designation. At the Planning Commission meeting, which was held last month, based on the neighborhood testimony, there were concerns about this continuing in the future as a commercial use, and based on that testimony, the Planning Commission did make a recommendation to deny the rezoning from residential to commercial. Under the current residential zoning, obviously the residential uses would be allowed. The residential zoning allows up to 4 units to be developed on a particular parcel like this, although given the configuration of the building, we're not sure how practical that might be. Other uses that could potentially go on this property through a conditional use permit application without the zoning change would be things like a group home, a daycare center, a bed and breakfast, or a private club. Those are the kind of things that potentially could occur without the zoning change. With the zoning change to commercial, that obviously opens up a number of potential land uses, retail establishments. The major limitation would be the lack of off-street parking. There's a small parking area in between the garage and the accessory building that, as you can see in the aerial photo, probably has room for maybe 3 or 4 vehicles. So that would be one of the controls that there would be in place as far as any major changes in use of the facility. But to conclude, based on the neighborhood testimony, the Planning Commission has recommended denial of the rezoning application. And Jeff Schmidt is here tonight, kind of again helping
represent the property owners through this process.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilor Liz.
Thank you, Mike. Say, did fire weigh in on this? I was looking at that, and it seems to be pretty close to some of the other buildings that are adjacent to the property.
Well, any change in use would have to go through a permitting and inspection process in the future, yes.
Very good.
Whatever it might be.
Councilor Hanson Jr.
Mike, when we grandfathered this in, has anything been added to this property?
There was a fire in the repair structure in the 1990s, and there was some remodeling done at that time.
But nothing added?
But I don't believe there was any expansion or addition of the property.
Councilor Rolfing.
Mike, is there any way to limit the zoning on this to say it is just for a repair shop or something along those lines?
One of the procedures that we've used in other situations, if you remember up on east of Cliff Avenue where we had the old boxing club, that was requested for a change in zoning, and through that process we established a plan development district designation, and with that plan development we limited it to certain specified uses. That would be the only other option that we would consider, and we did actually approach that option to the property owners, but they requested that we go through the rezoning process that's before you tonight.
Okay, so that's not acceptable to them?
It wasn't acceptable when we first started the process.
Okay. I'm sorry, that wasn't acceptable, as I remember, that was acceptable to the neighbors, though, right?
The boxing club was, yes.
No, I meant on this site, this was...
The neighborhood has never been approached about a plan development option.
But I mean, they were okay with it being as I remember, they were okay with it being a shop.
Well, I think they were, obviously used to seeing that, but they were concerned about what other things could happen in the future with the commercial zoning.
Right, but if we restricted it to a shop, they may be okay with that situation.
I guess that's a question that
Okay.
would have to be asked if anybody's in the audience tonight. I'm not sure.
Mr. Schmidt, would you have any commentary in regards to Councilor Rolfing's last comment? I know you didn't survey the entire neighborhood, but you have been intimately involved in this. Could you give him any indication at all?
The property owners are here, and I think there may be some neighbors here too. I'm the applicant for this. I've been trying to facilitate this process because it is a challenging land use zoning issue. The property owners would like to proceed forward with C2 zoning. That gives them the option to sell the property as commercial and then have someone come in here and operate a business on the site. When I've talked to the property owners, I've posted signs out there, I've put notices at people's addresses, and I've had phone calls and talked to the property owners. It's like any public hearing. Some people may be okay with auto sales. Some people are opposed to commercial in general. Some people want a house there, and I don't know for sure if any one of those will work. It's a real challenging site. It worked well for the Langdons when they were there. They lived in the house. You can see they have a house to the south and they have a business to the north. And we talked about that too, selling it both as a commercial site, but that doesn't really work either. You can't sell them both as a commercial because then you can't sell the residents because you have banking issues. So they've kept them separately. They're trying to rezone the property to the north as commercial. So to answer your question, I can't tell you if the neighbors would support it or not.
Mr. Schmidt, thank you very much. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak
Mr. Mayor?
against?
Could I
I'm
ask
so
a question
sorry.
first,
Yeah,
please?
Councilor Bach.
Either Jeff or Mike, could you answer, just for purposes of discussion, what would be the steps required to create that planned development district if we were to propose something like that?
Absolutely. You defer this item versus denying it, because if you deny it, it has to wait an extensive period before it can come back. So you defer this item. We work together with the property owners and the neighbors to see if there was it'd be the Langdon Plan Development District, or 704 South Cleveland Plan Development District, and then you make a list of the appropriate land uses that would work in that neighborhood. So as Mike was listing, here's the ones that could be in there. Typically, what we do in a plan development district is list the ones that everybody can agree on. But again, if you can't come to that consensus, or how long does it take, don't know for sure. Once we come to a consensus, we'd go back to Planning Commission. Planning Commission would vote one way or the other. Either way, if they approve it or deny it, it would still come before you as a first reading and a second reading.
Thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak in opposition of this tonight? Yes, sir, please, just state your name. Thank you.
Thank you for letting me talk. Mayor and council members, my name is Michael Van Beek, and I reside at 714 South Blaine. I'm a retired construction superintendent in Sioux Falls. I've been here many years. Our first comment I want to make is about the event center. I just want to make a remark. People are talking, just a minute. I have worked in downtown Sioux Falls for many years, and the only thing I want to say, I've done a fantastic job working with L. Schoeneman's Lumber, and I just want to say, I don't care where you put it.
Thank you.
That's all you're going to hear.
Thank you.
Okay. 714 South Blaine. It was in the backyard of Jim Savage's Western Art Gallery, if you remember that. And his little shop was in my backyard. And Jim and I had many, many conversations, which is absolutely and actually across the street from 704 and 708 South Cleveland that we're talking about. Years and years ago, Mr. Savage passed away. And she tried at that time to turn the basement of that home into a commercial retail store. The council members would not let her do it. And she went to a mini mall on East 26th Street. And at that time, we had Assam Drug, we had a daycare to the north, 2 blocks north, and to the south we had a grocery store and we had a service station. As far as I'm concerned, that's the only thing that I want commercial in that whole neighborhood. As far as noise, we got to put up with Interstate 229 that's really starting to get bad, and all the construction that's been going on around town on River Boulevard, everywhere else. Everybody thinks that Blaine is Cleveland right now because of the shut-off of the streets because of Interstate 229. This home, I'm familiar with it very well, and I went by it again tonight and drove on the premises. The driveway, if they sold the north part, is commercial, and the house is residential in the south, they got to share the driveway. And there's no other way that you can go around it. So you got commercial and residential on the same property, sharing the same driveway. You got to cut the garage in the back to the east in half for usage of a garage for the residential area. All this place was and has been is a backyard hobby that turned into a business for the individuals that live there. And I can understand that. That happens. Mr. Savage did the same thing. But you council members would not let her turn that into a commercial residence. And at that time, I didn't care. But now I do. I've lived in my house for 27 years. We're a tight neighborhood. We all work together. We get along. We don't want any more noise. We don't, and as far as I'm concerned, that if it became a body shop or any type of repair shop ever again, I don't think it's suitable to become that, because I don't think it's ventilated properly for a body shop, for one thing, and I don't want the noise. And we do have a noise restriction in a residential area in the city of Sioux Falls. And I'm a past retired 24-year veteran race driver, and I know what that restriction came through, and I wasn't too happy about that because we couldn't fire up our race cars in town anymore. So we got caught going down on Southeastern Drive many times, had to pay tickets for that, trying to get away, but I mean, I'm serious about this. And I feel sorry for the people. It's been on the market for a long time. They're asking a pretty good fair price for it, but it is an extra size property, but so is mine. My property is the same footage as theirs. Exactly, because 14th Street is my south yard. And I know what they're trying to do to get rid of it. They've been on the market for a long time, so I suggest they just drop the price. Thank you.
Mr. Van Beek, thank you very much. Is there anybody else who would like to speak in opposition of this tonight? Please just come forward and state your name.
My name is Karen Kennedy. I live right across the street from them. First of all, I'd like to pass around some photos I took. Kind of gives you a little better visual. The first picture is their property. The other ones are just some houses around there. I was also at the building committee, sharing my thoughts. I am opposed. It's a great neighborhood. I have small children. I'm not looking for any more traffic. The property is in the middle of a residential block. I don't see how it could be turned into a business. For them saying it was a business before, I've been there for 10 years. All they ever did was park a couple cars in front for sale. I could have done the same thing in my driveway with a car that said for sale. I never ever saw any work done. It wasn't really business. Like Mike said, it was a hobby. I also agree, if they did drop the price, they'd be able to sell the property. I mean, we're talking 14th and Cleveland. The price they're asking is a little high. It's a busy street. You got parking on both sides of the road. If you add a business, are they going to be parked on the side of the road? Are we going to have more accidents? My car's been hit on that street because it is a tight road with people parking on the side. I'm also concerned, would it decrease my property value? I don't know what type of business it is. Even if it was an auto shop, it still could potentially decrease my value. And my value has increased in the last 10 years. I don't know what's going to go in there, and I don't want it to be there. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kennedy. Thank you. Anybody else who'd like to speak in opposition of this tonight? Is there anyone who'd like to speak in favor of this tonight? Welcome. If you just state your name, please.
Lucille Langdon.
Thank you.
This is really hard for me. We have lived there for over 40 years. We have had a used car lot, which you can only get a dealer's license if you are on commercial property. And we have had that for 38 years. We are still operating. We still have cars in the back. We have a sign up of phone numbers and so that they can call to get a hold of us or our son. It is not a hobby. We have been there all them years. We have made good money off of it. Now, due to conditions, we needed to move into a house that has everything on one level. We would like to sell it. I mean, who wouldn't like to sell their places when you can't live in it anymore? I love the house. And as to the neighbors, I really have a problem. None of them live there when we were there. They have all bought in the last 10, 15 years. The one that was talking about his race cars, we listened to him for many years with his race cars and drive up and down Blaine Avenue. Karen's husband does work on cars in his attached garage, and yet she talks about how well she loves her children. Well, if she loved her children, why would she let her husband weld and paint on cars in an attached garage? We have had that out with the city many times, but he works for the city, and there's nothing we can get done about it. He also parks his extra cars on 14th Street because he doesn't have enough room either.
Ms. Langdon, if I can just ask you a favor, in the spirit of focusing on the item on hand, if we could just talk about your property and
Okay.
how you believe that it should be zoned in a different way, I think it would make your time much more productive, and I think
Okay.
ultimately it will benefit you versus hurting you.
Well,
I'm
and
trying
we
to
have two
address your
driveways
neighbors.
there.
Thank you.
We have two driveways. We have a driveway for 704, and we have a driveway for 708. Yes, they're beside each other, but they have a line down the center. I mean, each place has its own driveway. And the two garages in the back, one goes to 704, one goes to the house. They wouldn't have to be split. I mean, you know, I can't understand that. And we've lived there, and we've never had any problem with anybody. When we got the used car license, the neighbors took us to court. They didn't want us to have it. We won it. When we had the fire, the city at first didn't want us to rebuild. They took us to court. They lost it. We do not know when this was ever taken away from us as a commercial business. Nobody ever contacted us. Nobody ever said anything until we tried to sell it, and all of a sudden the realty people are saying, they won't let us sell it. They won't let us do anything with it. So I guess my problem is, how can the city take something away from people when they have owned it all these years, kept it up, paid their taxes, paid their bills, and now we're just supposed to sit there? And that's my problem, and I hope you guys will vote for us so we can at least get it sold.
Ms. Langdon, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have
Yes,
a question,
Councilor
Lucille.
Anderson, Jr.
Lucille, please, could I ask you a couple questions?
Sure.
All right. Thank you for coming tonight, and we've spoken on the phone a few
Right.
times. Can you explain some of the things that the realtors have told you? I think you've talked to Doug Brockhouse before on
Right.
this.
Doug Brockhouse, they told him that he could not, he came to us and he was just really enthusiastic about listing it and selling it. He talked to the city, he came back and said, sorry, I can't handle it. We had a heck of a time getting a realty, you know, to handle it. We had Jeff Nelson with HJN, same thing, all excited, they were going to sell it and everything. We went down and talked to the city. We had a real estate lady that had some people that was very interested. She went down to the city and talked to them. She came back and the poor woman was just shaking. She said, I have never, ever seen somebody so mad at you guys. They say you've operated illegally, you're a thorn in their side. You know, how can we sell it when we have problems with the city with that?
There's been some ideas of creating a limited use. Would you be against that?
I guess we haven't been brought up with that. I don't know what you mean by limited use. I mean, you know.
Well, basically looking at the style or type of business that would go into that location, and it would have to be approved.
Well, I guess if they would zone it, it's going to have to come up to whoever, if they would just leave it zoned the way it's been, and whoever would buy it would have to go to the city and up to you guys anyway to ask if they could go in there. And I guess I can't understand why that can't be done.
Thank you.
Okay.
Ms. Langdon, thank you very much. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in favor of this tonight? Hearing none, City Council, would anybody like to make a motion?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilor Urbanbach.
I would move to defer this item so that it can go back to conversations about a planned development district.
I would second that.
We need a date, please.
Oh, defer to a date, sorry. Pick a date for me, please.
No, I'm not going to pick the date. You'll need to do that. I can hand you the calendar.
Make me work. What would you prefer, 2 weeks? I'm going to move to defer to November 1st unless I hear complaints.
There's been a motion to defer this item to November 1st by Councilor Urbanbach, and it was seconded by Councilor Anderson, Jr. Any further discussion?
I would, Mike, if this does pass, I hope that we can get together with the neighbors and discuss over the different types of uses that could be happening at that location that would be agreeable to the neighbors. I guess I'm just really concerned about how close the home is there to the north. And I've been in that location several times here, especially in the last few weeks, and I have great concerns about what we're going to be able to do over there, but at least, having a discussion with the entire neighborhood and the owners, I think, is warranted here.
We'll certainly go through that effort if that's the direction of the council.
Mr. Cooper and Mr. Schmidt, would you please give any indication or an indication to this good city council just how long you've been working on this?
I'll let you.
Doug and Lucille Langdon and I think we've been working on, I suppose, for about 5 years. And I mean, like she said, 40 years we've been going back and forth on this. And I mean, you've been on council and have talked to her about this before, and I know Mr. Jameson has too. So this is not something we're going to get done in 2 weeks. This is not something we'll get done in the next month or two. This will be a long process to try to get a planned development district done here.
And I also know that actually Councilman Staggers also looked into this too I think during his first term. So it has been a long issue here, but I think it's something that we need to look at hard here, because you do have you have residential and then you have business within a very close proximity. So I think it's just something that hopefully the neighbors can all come to an agreement on what we can do here with this property, and that the Langdons would be okay with that also.
Councilor Anderson Jr., thank you very much. Yes, Councilor Urbanbach?
Clarify for me, how, the neighbors said and the property owners said that they hadn't been approached about the planned development district.
That's correct.
So I'm not sure I understand why this is going to drag on for months and months and months.
I think we'll just start the dialogue and see what kind of a potential consensus we can come back with.
I think this is an issue of being good neighbors, too. It's time for the neighborhood to come together to help these folks get this property sold. There's some things that can be agreed upon to make this happen.
I think everybody would like to see some activity there besides a vacant building.
Exactly. Thank you.
There's been a motion to defer by Councilor Urbanbach, seconded by Councilor Anderson Jr., to defer this item to November 1st. If there's no other discussion, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Jameson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Entenmann?
Yes.
Urbanbach?
Yes.
That is passed 8-0. Thank you, City Council. Item number 21.
Item number 21 is a second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, a major amendment, petition number 2010-0801, to Chapter 15.45.070 Planned Development Districts at South Solberg Avenue, south of West 57th Street and west of South Louise Avenue, amending the West 57th Street Number 2 Planned Development District sub-area regulations. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes, this is a parcel of land that's approximately 25 acres. It's currently undeveloped. The applicant is Peter Gower Corporation. Back in 1997, at the request of the property owner, this area was established as a business park planned development district, with the primary uses being future office development. With changes to this particular area of the city, as well as changes in the potential market of this property, the owner has now come forward with a request to modify the allowable land uses by adding hotel, motel, conference facilities as accessory uses, on and off sale alcohol, retail trade and services, and gas dispensing facility. And the purpose of adding these additional potential land uses is obviously to try to market this area for something in addition to an office park that would provide more services to the area. Any of these particular uses would have to go through another public hearing of what we call a final development plan. So what the council is being asked to do tonight is to add a list of land uses to the office development as petitioned by the property owner. We did not have any opposition to this request, and the Planning Commission has recommended approval of this amendment.
Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak to this item? City Council, any questions, or would there be a motion, please?
Move to approve Litz.
Second, Erpenbach.
Councilor Litz has made a motion to approve. It's been seconded by Councilor Erpenbach. Councilor Rolfing.
May I excuse myself for this?
Absolutely. Is there any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, if I could have a roll call vote, please, with Councilor Rolfing excusing himself for this particular vote.
Councilmember Jamison?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Entenmann?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
That is passed 7-0. Thank you, City Council. Item number 22.
Item 22 is a first reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city by amending Chapter 2, Article, can't see it, 13 of the revised ordinances of Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Thank you, and good evening. Deborah Owen, City Clerk, Chief of Council Operations. The item before you is to set a date of hearing. It's the first reading for a change in the Audit Committee ordinance, which would have the committee be comprised of no more than 7 members, changing it from the former 5 number, and also having that you would have 4 of those 7 members be City Council members. In addition, there would be a line added to 2-137, which would allow the committee chair to serve more than 1 year, and then changing the quorum to a majority of the council members shall constitute a quorum. Those are the changes to this ordinance, and it's been through fiscal committee, with their recommendation to do pass. The recommendations, though, primarily came from the 2005 Department of Legislative Audit that was given to the council at that time about the CIP budget, and they recommended the audit committee, and we have never really made that audit committee be comprised, the majority being of the city council or those of the governing body. So it was with that recommendation that the committee moved this forward. In addition, it was GFOA's best practices to have a majority of that committee be the members of the council or the governing board. So thank you. Any questions?
Is there anyone in City Council who would like to set a hearing date for the second reading for Tuesday, October 12th, for item number 22?
So moved, Aguilar.
Second, Brown.
Councilor Aguilar has made a motion to set the hearing date for October 12th, 2010, and it was seconded by Councilor Brown. If I could have a roll call vote, please.
Council members Jamison?
Yes.
Litz?
Sure.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Entenmann?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
That is passed 8-0. Item number 23.
Item number 23 is deferred action from the meeting of September 20th, 2010, a resolution vacating the public right-of-way on track number 57 of County Odd Subdivision in the northeast 1/4 of Section 8, T101N R49W, Minnehaha County, South Dakota, Northeast Avenue from West Blackhawk Street to West Algonquin Street.
Good evening, Chad Heavey with the Engineering Division of Public Works. This improved right-of-way is between the airport and Russell Street, just west of Minnesota Avenue. The petitioner is Raven Industries. A utility easement will be maintained. A public meeting was held on September 1st, attended by Raven, Belmark Properties, the Air Guard, and Daniels Olson. On September 20th, the night it was deferred, there was an outstanding issue between 2 of the property owners up there. It is my understanding that that issue has been resolved. They have complied with state law and our right-of-way vacation policy. And engineering has no opposition to the vacation.
Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak to this item? Yes, sir, please state your name. Thank you.
Good evening. Hugh Dodson with Raven Industries. At the meeting 2 weeks ago, Daniels Olson, which is our neighbor located on Blackhawk, asked for more time so their corporate headquarters could review our proposal that we had agreed with them. And in that time, we've come to the mutual agreement. And that proposal is that Raven will not park on Black Hawk Avenue between F and D Avenue, and that's to assist in their maneuvering of trucks in and out of their building.
Thank you very much, and thank the folks at Raven as well.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak to this item? City Council, could I have a motion, please?
I would move approval. Urbanbach.
Second, Litz.
It's been a motion by Councilor Urbanbach, seconded by Councilor Litz to approve item number 23. Any further discussion, City Council? Can I have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmembers Jamison?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Rolfing? Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Entman? Urbanbach?
Yes.
Thank you. That is passed 8-0. Item number 24.
Item 24 is a resolution approving project plan for tax incremental district number 10, City of Sioux Falls.
Good evening, Brent O'Neill, city staff on this item. It's an item that's been before you a couple times and in the media quite a bit, an exciting development here in downtown. We'll be home to CNA Surety, $25 million office building project. On September 10th, the council reviewed and approved the creation of Tax Increment Financing District 10 and set the boundaries. The second component of that is to approve the project plan, and that's the item before you tonight. Just in brief summary, there are several items in the plan, general information on the district, the blight study, a requirement of statute determining the area as blight, an economic feasibility schedule determining kind of what is feasible for this TIF to encounter and take on as it helps this project, a fiscal impact statement on how it will affect the various taxing districts within the city, the county and school district. It talks about the current conditions at the site, any applicable changes in regulations such as land use, a map, zoning, and so forth, and those are really nominal or non-existent in this case, and then a list of the eligible improvements and project costs. Those project costs are listed here. The eligible expenses do total about $8.5 million. The parking construction is highlighted because that's intended to be the primary use of the tax increment district, in this case, to help them get the parking they need on that site. As far as the TIF participation goes, by this we mean, what level of the project is being helped through the TIF. The developer's maximum indebtedness because of this TIF can be $4.75 million. The city would pass on any positive tax increment to service that $4.75 million. That amount is secured by the developer, and one final point, that increment district is a necessary component of making this project feasible to go forward. It does really comply with statute as well as city standards on TIF districts. Again, we could answer questions, and there are members of the team here as well.
Very good job again. Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak in opposition of this? Anyone in the audience who'd like to speak in favor of this before I move on to Councilor Litz? Welcome.
Craig Lloyd Light Companies and Lumber Exchange, a partner in that. I'm just here to answer questions. You guys have had enough speeches tonight.
Mr. Lloyd, thank you. That was very kind of you. Councilor Litz.
Sit down before you tank the deal. Move to the
Councilor Lloyd, Mr. Lloyd, thank you for being here tonight.
Mayor?
Thank you.
Yes. I do have a question.
Councilor Anderson, Jr.
Sorry, Mr. Lloyd. Once the TIF is approved, what's the timeline for this, and what's the city's responsibility for removing that 9th Street parking ramp? Because I believe that is part of all of this also.
No, that parking ramp is not part of this one. Our TIF district is short of the parking ramp, and as we get further along and we find a developer for the hotel, then that would come back to you.
Okay, so we won't have to remove that until we're looking at the hotel itself?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you. City Council, would we like to have a motion?
Move to approve.
There's been a motion by Councilor Anderson Jr., seconded by Councilor Brown. Thank you. On this exciting project. And if there's any other discussion, hearing none, if I could have a roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Jamison?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Entman?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Thank you, City Council. That is passed 8-0. Item number 25.
Item number 25 is a report of September 27, 2010, notice of transfer of appropriations within major organizational units, Memo 1.
City Council, are there any further questions or comments for tonight?
We have item.
We have item 26.
Oh,
Okay, item 26 is a resolution canceling all special assessments, judgments, liens, and any other such instruments.
Go Vikings.
good evening. State your name, please.
Don't you recognize me? Darren Smith, Director of Community Development. And yes, I apologize for the attire, but I was coaching a football game tonight, and we won, by the way, so it's a big game. This resolution is asking the City Council to repeal assessments that the various city departments have on property at 1122 North Duluth Avenue. I went through quite a few of the details today, and I know it's late, and this is the last item, as some of you are packing your laptops away. So I won't go through the whole story again here, but suffice to say that if the City Council is willing to take action and repeal the assessments on this property, which we believe is the right thing to do, it will allow us to acquire the property through our nonprofit housing partner, Sioux Falls Housing Corporation. We will then be able to demolish this already condemned property and a blight in the neighborhood. It'll make the neighborhood very happy, and we'll be able to build a new home there next year for hopefully a new family to move in. There have been a number of complaints on this property over the years, and they are anxiously awaiting us to come in and tear it down and put something better there. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Councilor Mock.
Just one quick question, Darren. How quickly would we tear it down? I mean, I realize we're not going to build right away, but how quickly would we tear it down?
Yeah, we've already received bids to do that service, and we believe worst-case scenario would be the end of this month.
Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak against or for this item tonight? City Council, anyone who would like to make a motion on this? Councilor Litz.
I just had a comment that, I've been following this for quite some time, and I think this is going to put some closure to this troubled couple's plight in this situation. So I would thereby move to approve this.
Second, Anderson.
Councilor Litz has made a motion to approve. It's been seconded by Councilor Anderson Jr. Is there any further discussion on this item? Yes, Councilor Brown.
I'll support it if you do an executive order on dress code for staff tomorrow.
Councilor Brown, point so taken. Dallas Cowboy shirt. But Councilor Brown, thank you so much. City Council, this is going to need 6 votes to adopt this item, 6 yes votes to adopt this item. It is a more unusual item, so I just want to make you aware of that. Hearing no further discussion or commentary, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Jamison?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Entman?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
The City Council, thank you. That is passed 8-0. That is the last item on tonight's agenda. I do thank you for your patience tonight, City Council, and for your diligence in serving this city. Also, thank the audience for sticking around as long as you have. Are there any further questions or comments?
Move
If
adjournment.
I could have a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved, Erpenbach.
Second, Litz.
It's been a motion by Councilor Erpenbach, seconded by Councilor Litz to adjourn tonight's meeting. Could I have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Jamison?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Entman?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Thank you, City Sioux Falls. Thank you, City Council. This meeting is adjourned.